All right. Hello. Happy Friday. It is May 8th, and here is your Q&A for AP English Literature on the last day of the live review classes. I would like to go over with you some of the major points that they made in the last class so that because I think a lot of them were helpful. Remember that you will have a 6-point rubric, just like all year long. 1 point for the thesis, 4 points for the organization of your argument, and the last point coming from what they call polish in your language. Obviously, like I said in the lesson today, you want to begin strong with that thesis. Your thesis has to answer the question. You cannot just rewrite the prompt. You have to give a specific answer to the thesis. So if it asks you to talk about the complex relationship between two characters or the complex attitude that a character feels or a narrator feels or a complexity in mood or tone, you can't just say that it's complex. You have to say what the complexity is. It might involve a shift within the passage from one condition to another, or it might involve, two elements going on at the same time. A lot of you for practice essay 7, when you wrote about Zenobia, some of you talked about the complexity in terms of the character feels this way, the narrator feels this way about Zenobia, but also that way. And some of you picked up on the fact that perhaps the narrator had romantic feelings for Zenobia, but then was also disgusted by her. Others of you picked on a shift from kind of an initial confusion / disappointment to kind of a more malicious, malevolent willingness to see her facade crack. And I think, you could write well about both of those. And a lot of you did. But your thesis is going to have to not just say, oh, there's a complex relationship. Oh, there's a complex attitude. Because that's what's in the prompt. You're going to need to say in your thesis what the complexity is. Then, as they've talked about in the lessons, your paragraph organization and your use of evidence and commentary are going to be what determine how many of those 4 points for organization do you get. Are your body paragraphs organized by either before and after the shift? Or are your body paragraphs organized on, okay, the narrator feels this way, but also that way. And those two emotions are your two body paragraphs. Either organizational pattern is fine. Again, I would caution against organizing your essay by device. Don't write a body paragraph about imagery and then one about diction, or one about irony and then about simile. You're going to overlap and you're going to miss out on the complexity because you'll be so proud of yourselves that, oh, I found a simile. Here's the simile. Don't do it that way. Focus on either before and after the shift or the two complex elements of an attitude or relationship or situation. That's how you're going to get there. Then inside your paragraphs, make sure that you have a topic sentence that connects back to that thesis. If you're saying that the narrator has romantic feelings for Zenobia, but also is disgusted by the ease with which she can move on after having left Blithedale, well, your first paragraph, the topic sentence, could be something along the lines of, well, the narrator, at least at some point, has felt romantically for Zenobia. If you want to go with the shift, then you would perhaps start with your first topic sentence might be the narrator is confused about how to feel about Zenobia. And then your quotes, and then your commentary. Remember, each quotation needs a lead in. You can't just drop sentences on your reader. And it can be as simple as when the narrator says, then there's your quote. And then after the quote, the narrator means this, and then get into your commentary. Your commentary should connect your quote strongly to that topic sentence. And then your thesis. So if your paragraph is about the narrator being in love with Zenobia, you're going to need a quote that says that. Then you're going to need to talk about how your quote shows that the narrator is in love with her. So And then at the end of each body paragraph, if you have those 2 quotes and commentary, you're going to need a concluding sentence that wraps it up. If that body paragraph is about the love that he feels for Zenobia, then your concluding sentence needs to be about the love that the narrator feels for Zenobia. And those are how you will lead your reader through your argument. And if you can follow those steps, you will get a passing score. Now, what about the polish point? They talked about multiple ways to get there. They talked about, heightened vocabulary. They talked about multiple interpretations of the same perhaps device. And we've gone over examples of that. And also possibly, an elevation in your engagement with the topic, which means is your so what, spot on. Do we really go, okay, this is a great so what? We understand, the writer clearly understands why this is an important topic. All of those are possible paths to get that 6th point. But remember, the polish point, getting from a 5 to a 6 in that way is kind of like getting from a 3 to a 4 on the STAR EOC. It's very subjective. And some people like to say, oh, well, there's a rubric. There's no subjectivity because all you have to do is follow the rubric. Well, I can look at the rubric and someone else can look at the rubric, and yeah, we can come together as far as calibration, but there also comes in that possibility of opinion, and there's just no way around it. So if you focus on a strong thesis and organizing your essay, then the polish point might come naturally. If you have time at the end and you want to write a lights out so what, then that's another way to get that polish point. What questions do you have for me? I haven't seen anything pop up in Remind, so it looks like we have a few people in the class today. So if you have a question about the test on Wednesday, because it is coming up next Wednesday, if you have questions about how the test will work, I'm still getting people putting Remind questions. When's the test? It's Wednesday, May 13th, 1 o'clock. So you need to plan to log on around 12:30, 12:35, and have your environment ready. Plenty of paper, pen, pencil, something to drink. On Monday, you'll get your e-ticket, which means that it's going to hit your email. I'm going to be asking on Monday who's got their e-ticket, because some of you have you've kind of been waiting to get your email squared away. And some of you are finding, oh, I'm on hold with the College Board for 30 minutes. Well, you're not the only procrastinators in the world. If you Google, when you're on the College Board website, if you click the Contact Us link, you can also send an email, but it can take a day to get an answer. So don't panic, but hopefully we can still get you there. But on Monday, you should get an e-ticket. And that's the thing that'll take you right to the test. You should get e-tickets for each test a couple days before the test. So for a Wednesday test, you should get that email on a Monday. Valerie asks, admin won't let us look up any definitions or other tabs, right? Well, I sent out, they're not going to require you to use a lockdown browser. I recommend that you use Google Chrome. And I also recommend that you treat this like like the test essay. I'm not saying don't look up words on your phone, but because there may be other people that are doing the same thing. I am saying, though, don't waste time. Instead, read the passage, get the gist of what the passage is saying as far as what the question is asking you, and then go. If there's one word you're not sure what it means, but it's not part of what you need, then why worry about it? Like I said when we were looking at poems, you don't have to understand every line of a poem to get a sense of where the author's going. So there is that to consider. Other questions? Other questions about Wednesday's test? Any questions about dealing with the College Board? So what thing we will do on Monday is I'll put up a video taking us from start to finish with a prompt, kind of, one more time through of, what I would do if I were you. And then, so I'll have Q&A Monday, Q&A Tuesday. I would use the time between now and then to go back through the whole AP Literature channel. And I'll put a link to it again and remind so that you have it. And, don't obviously look at poems, because in the first week, they looked at poetry, and it turned out we didn't need poetry because we didn't know what type of question there was going to be yet. But, look through the classes and see, okay, what do I need more help with? This is really putting it on you to figure out, okay, what do I still need? And if there are things that you still need that you have questions about, those would be good things to come into the Q&A and ask about. As far as the test, how to write this essay. One piece of advice from the class that I thought was great is get sleep Tuesday night. Don't be staying up playing, Call of Duty or, being on the Snapchat, or whatever till, 3 a.m. and then expect to get up and do well, even though the test isn't until 1. Get plenty of sleep. You've got all summer, depending on when you're working, to sleep. Or as a friend of mine in the dorm said, we can sleep when we're older. Okay, maybe. But for now, get your sleep before each AP test. Get that good night's sleep, because you're playing for money. Each class, each test that you pass, that's 3 to 6 hours of college credit. That is a lot of money. So, last call for questions. Any questions about the test? Any question about the College Board? Any question about essay writing? Any questions about practice essay 7 or 8? If you haven't done 7, turn it in. I'll look at it. Please get 8 in, by Monday, if not sooner. That way I can give you feedback and plenty of time for you to see it for the test. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, stay safe and sane, and we're almost there. Talk to you later.